role that we play as influencers for the future generation. So what does that mean? The best place to start is by understanding the significance of advocacy and activism within an early childhood setting. So, what is the difference? So, advocacy is an activity by an individual or group that aims to influence decisions within a political, economic, or social institutions. When we think about advocates in early childhood, some important ideas come to mind. This could mean things like employee empowerment, which can look like passion for what you believe in, and spreading awareness of early years education and the importance of it. This may involve things like training and personal development sessions to help out employees, to help them understand their role, and to keep them enthusiastic about their job and what they're creating for the world. So what's activism then? Well, advocacy and activism are actually quite similar when we're looking at early childhood education. They can often be intertwined. So activism is the policy or action of using vigorous campaigning to bring about political or social change. So I guess one way to think about the difference between advocacy and activism is going out there and choosing to advocate for a problem or issue that they wish to change. Whereas we could look at advocacy as an avenue that we can take to educate those around us, or maybe them to be an activist themselves. So, as early childhood educators, what can we do? How can we inspire and advocate for activism within our early childhood education settings? So, Ebek and Waninganya describe advocates and activists as very similar in their primary objective, as it is to advance a particular case or cause, usually on behalf of a powerless constituency or individual or collective basis. Both advocates and activists have strong beliefs and convictions and are committed to acting as defenders of justice and equity. Understanding the difference between equality and equity is a really important thing to examine when we're looking at advocacy and activism within early childhood. Knowing the difference means that we can acknowledge the fact that not every child needs to be treated equally, and that when we're looking at Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, we need to realise that due to our history, some Indigenous Australians may actually need more help and need more than just to be treated with equality. The Mindaru.org website is a great resource to share with your friends, family, colleagues, and students. It's a really great example of activism and advocacy and how we can implement this within early childhood. It addresses the idea of closing the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians and addresses how important it is to understand that every student needs the opportunity to have an equal shot. The website quotes that with the tremendous disparity that exists between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, many young Australians will miss out on this equal shot. And so resources like this one are so important for our own personal, professional, and ethical development. And so finally, I'd like to touch on Jeannie Clark's idea. She's a director from West Bathurst Preschool, and she describes social inequality as thinking in terms of what we can do, what we know, what our experiences are, and most importantly, do we have the passion to evoke change? Clark can be seen as a great example of an activist. She describes her work in early childhood education as empowering, as her tears of sadness gave way to the burning rage. She describes herself as having accepted and activated our responsibilities as early educators. She goes on to say it is too easy to sit in our tidy little early childhood service and look at the world through rose-coloured glasses. To think that all the children who attend are safe and fed regular meals and tucked up in a clean bed every night with a bedtime story. It is too easy not to think about children who cower under tables because of family violence, who cry themselves to sleep, whose family may be homeless, whose parents may be held in a terrifying grip of substance abuse, and where depression and mental illness go untreated. To conclude, Clark's statement that we must make equity of access really mean something and start to get those children who are most vulnerable and disadvantaged into good quality child care programs. This is what advocacy and activism within early childhood means. We must create equitable change.